Hariom everyone, welcome to this class on Upadesha Saara. We have done 7 classes before this, so we'll start with the next class. We will start with the chanting first. Those who are joining me, they can join me at the other end. I will just first share it onto the screen. Start the Shanti part. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिगं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् ॐ श्रीमहागणपतये नमः सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. We'll also chant the first verse of the text, the Bangla Charan. कर्तुराज्ञया प्राप्यते फलम् कर्म किं परम् कर्म तच्चडम् कर्तुराज्ञया प्राप्यते फलम् कर्म किं परम् कर्म तच्चडम्. So we are on to the text where we have covered up in the 20th shloka. 21st we will start today. I'll just share it onto the screen. We can start chanting and then we'll continue from there. We are into the 21st shloka. 21st shloka. Upadesha idamaham padabhikyamannvaham ahamilinake pyalaya sattaya idamaham padabhikyamannvaham ahamilinake pyalaya sattaya. So, idam aham pada abhikyam anu aham ahami linake api alaya sattaya. So idam aham. So this idam, this aham that we have finally reached after exploring the two ahams, that is the one aham related to the individual and the other aham or the idam you can say related to the total Ishvara. We come back to we reach the real the I that is intimately connected to the essence, the Sat, which we saw in the earlier one. So once we try to understand both of these, how they have been expressed, abhivyaktam, abhikyam, then when we follow the train of thought, anu means to follow. Anu means like in anusaran, anuj is the younger sibling, the one who comes after the elder one. So anu aham. So when we follow this aham, when we chase after this aham, and we try to see where it goes, then ahami linate api allaya sattaya. So when this aham, that is the real I, which is experiencing everything, when we even remove that, then we reach the alaya sattaya. We reach that real essence which does not ever go away, which we call by the name of Sat. So that Sat we have to see, we have to understand. So idam aham padabhikyam anvam. So before we just move ahead with this, we just go take a little detour back here to the previous verse so we understand what we are discussing here. So earlier the verse was aham inasha bhaji aham ahantaya swarati hitsvayam parapurna sat. So this earlier we saw this aham that is connected to the idam. Aham or idam are intimately interconnected. Whatever we experience as idam, as this, as the world, that is when we associate with that, that is the individual aham that is bound with the different vasanas, raga, dvesha. So when we destroy that aham. When we destroy that, then what remains is that aham ahamtaya. Then the real essence, the real I shines through, which is shining through in the in our hridayam, in our heart. But hridaya, as I said, it just doesn't mean the heart. It means the essence, the center, the kendra. So there, and once we see that, then param purna sat, that uh, endless, that highest or param, and purna, that complete, the one that doesn't need anything to complete itself, that sat, it shines through in the heart. So this sat that is shining through in the heart, and this which is associated with that aham, this is what we are examining in this word. So now we are trying to dissolve this aham also. This aham, where does it dissolve? Even when there is no experience going on in the state of deep sleep also, there this aham is not there. No? Even the aham that is associating, that is perpetually the witness, that is not associating as the small aham through desires. The original aham is the one that is intimately associated with Sat, with the reality, with Satchitanand Swarup Brahma. With that reality, when it is associated, then the experience is going on. But what happens when the experience is not going on? Then that alaya satyaya, that essence, that reality, that Sat, which never goes away, alaya, it never goes into layam. So that alaya satyaya remains. So we have to examine that, and right, what is that alaya satyaya? We saw in the case of time also. When we look at time, then we saw that we can split time into past, present, and future. So if we look at everything, we look at it from the perspective of present. We are always in the present. So in the present, when we look back, that is the past. When we look at what is going to come, that is the future. But we can merge all of these into the present only. I in the present am the experiencer of past and future. So when I try to determine the exact current moment, then as exact time in present, initially you can start with you can say today is the present and tomorrow is future. Yesterday was the past. Or you can go into bigger time chunks also. So you then slowly reduce this part of the day, then this hour, then this minute, then this second. So however smaller you go, there will always be something that will be before and after. So just like there are two fingers, there will for them to have any space between them, there has to be something in between that is different. Same way with time also, with every moment of time, every 2 moments of time, when you separate them, you will see that there is to be something in between. That something in between we call Sat, the reality, the essence, which is always there. Even when time is moving, it is moving on the framework of that Sat, with the framework of that reality. Without the reality, time will not move. And it not will be there. So therefore, that Sat is the one that we have to understand as alaya satyaya. What is said in this shloka, that aham ilinake, even the aham is gone, even the experiencer is gone, even as the witness is gone. Then even in deep sleep, we can see that this aham is still present. So we saw that in deep sleep also, when we wake up in the morning, then by the process of what we call pratyabhigya, I can always tell that I slept well. मैं अच्छे से सोया. So how did I sleep well? There is someone who is knowing that I am sleeping well. There is some consciousness that is telling that yes, I am sleeping. So that consciousness is the one that we are talking about, alaya satyaya, which never goes away. Consciousness, existence, whatever name we give for it. So that consciousness is always there even when we are in the deep sleep state. So in that deep sleep state, when we lose sense of time, there also when that aham, the experiencer is not there, there is something that is telling us, yes, there is that now we are experiencing abhavakar vritti, the thought of nothingness. Initially the thought is associated with the object. Every vritti is this mobile, this table is, and so on. Everything is associated with an object. But in that state, what is the object? There is still an object. Without object, there cannot be a thought. So in that state, the object is nothingness. I am experiencing nothingness. When I close my eyes, close my ears, all my sense organs, I can still experience that. I can experience that nothingness when all my sense organs are closed up, right? So this is more clearly experienced in the state of deep sleep. So in that deep sleep, the alaya sattaya is still there. The atma is still there. So even when I am idam aham pada, this aham that I examine, this aham that comes to the fore every time as the small I, that I am the karta, I am the doer, I am the bhokta, I am the enjoyer. Every time whenever it comes in this way, I can separate it from the object that is experienced and then finally reach the state where I can associate it only as the witness. This aham only as a witness. I am not having any attachment to anything around me. And yet, even that witness goes away. Even that witness goes away in the state of deep sleep. Or we can say in samadhi, when there is no other reality which we experience. So, this aham that is being expressed here, when we keep it in the center, we put the spotlight onto it, or we examine it through a microscope. We do this reality check. Then we understand that it is just an indicator, and it is indicating something else. So there is the Shabdarth, which is the object, and there is the Lakshyarth. The Lakshyarth is what is being indicated. So when I see the object, this is the object, it is giving me a thought, that thought comes into my mind. But who is experiencing the thought? The I, the consciousness. So that experiencer of the thought is that Lakshyartha, the one that is telling everything that is going on. So this, that is Alaya Sattaya. So when we try to know ourselves, when we do reach for the process by which we know the Swaswarup Jnanam, how we reach the knowledge of my own self, then I have to go inwards, right? I have to go antarmukha, I have to go inwards to me. And when we go inwards, then that clearly that I that we were experiencing, that I slowly ceases to exist. That aham vritti, it ceases to be known or experienced. And once this happens, like we discussed in the case of the sushupti avastha, also in the state of deep sleep, also that thought that is there, the thought of blankness. In that state, the aham is not being experienced. But once it becomes, when we wake up in the morning, with the first thought, what is the first thought? I am. I exist. I am. Aham asmi. That is the first thought. And then aham asmi gets associated with all the different objects that we experience. So I become the doer. I become a father. Aham pitri asmi. I become the mother. Aham matri asmi. And so on. So whatever I experience or whatever role I take upon in life, that role becomes my identity. But I have to now shift. I have to shift my identity from my associations to my real self. So, what is the two facets or two parts of this thought? One is the vritti, one is the thought, and the other is the knower of that thought. And what is the difference? The vritti is changing. हमेशा चेंज हो रही है, बदल रही है, और एंड इट इज नॉन सेंशियंट, इट इज जड़. Without the consciousness, the vritti cannot be known. If I am in deep sleep, or if I am not, even if I am closing my eyes, can I see something? No. So the thought is not being formed. So if the thought is not being formed, then there is something behind the thought which is giving existence to the thought, the consciousness to the thought. So that Chetan Satta, that conscious thought, that is the one that does not go away with the disappearance of the objects, and it does not rise with the coming of the objects. It is there with the when they are not there. It is there when they are there also, and that is the truth of this aham vritti. That is the truth of this aham. So when I do this vichar of this aham vritti, then I realize that everything that I'm seeing around me is unreal. What word can we use for that? Mithya. No, mithya. It is dependent reality. It's not that it's not there. No. It is dependent on me. I have created that reality. So I learn to understand that reality. So once I separate the vritti from sat, which is the adhisthana, it is the substratum, it is the basis. Because this sat, it provides life to the thought. Without sat, there is life to thought. So once we understand that, we have to move towards the knowledge. And what is the knowledge? Knowledge is the root. It is the root that nurtures the whole of existence. And the root will provide the nutrients for all of the parts of the tree to grow. And the nutrients that is we call the rasa, the essence, that will permeate the whole tree. That rasa is the essence of the whole tree also, right? It is there in the stem, it is there in the branches, it is there in the leaves, it is there in the fruit, and so on. And that rasa, in the Gita also, no, it is said, Ujvamulam madhashakaha. So there the Moolam is the Brahman, the highest reality. Out of that is expressed this whole tree of the world. Right, it's this tree of the world where all beings are there. So if you look at the level of beings, that is also being expressed as the tree. Or if we look at the society. So in society, what do we have? The Moolam is Brahman. The stem is what? The stem is the Shudra, the one who holds. Because on his work, the whole society is dependent. Unless he generates the resources, nothing can move. Right, so the hard work that comes, he is the one that is upholding the society. Next step is those branches where everything is moving. That is represented by the Vaishya, who distributes the fruits produced by the Shudra to the different parts. So that rasa, which is the essence, it pervades from the bottom to the top. Its source is Brahman, but it will go right to the top up to the level of the Kshatriya, the one who is defending the leaves. Without the leaves, the tree will never regenerate the nutrients, right? So that is Kshatriya. And then finally the fruit. What is the fruit? That is Brahman. The Brahman does what? He disseminates the knowledge. He passes on the knowledge. He goes for, so that is the fruit. So that is the real fruit. So in this way also, the one Vyavastha also is represented through this tree of knowledge, and that is the root is the sat. That is the sat. And therefore, here we have done the first part of when we discover the whole range of knowledge about any topic. So when we discover the whole range of knowledge about any topic in our Vedantic system, what do we say? We say that there have to be 4 aspects that have to be really clear about. And without that, it is not at all finished. The whole knowledge is not yet clear. So first one is what? First one is the Tattva Vichar. तत्व विचार, व्हाट इज द रियल एसेंस. अब कौन सा तत्व है जिसको हम जानने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. दिस इज रिप्रेजेंटेड बाय सत इन दिस वर्स ऑल्सो. सो इन सत we are learning what is the essence of this whole world. It is sat which remains ever always present. Everything comes and goes, sat will always remain. So that is praman, that is the tattva vichar. Then what is the next step? That is the praman vichar. Or you can say praman mimamsa. Mimamsa means to logically analyze, right? And vichara means to think. So if you say next step is praman vichara. So in praman vichara, that will be topic of the next verse. We'll come to that. So praman vichara is what? How do we know? कैसे जाना हम? And how do we know this knowledge that we are talking about? What is the source? So in normal language of darshanas, all our darshan shastras, what is pramana? The means of knowledge, right? So first is the pratyaksha pramana, something that I can see directly. In that direct knowledge, I am able to know something. See means everything. See means hear, touch, smell, everything. All sense organs are giving me input, direct input about object. So that is the first pramana. Then next is Anuman. Anuman. In Anuman, I can estimate something like the common example we give in Nyaya Shastra. I see a tree, a hill, and I see some smoke there, and from that I infer there is a fire. So inference. Then that is Anuman Praman. Then the second one is the third one is the Shabda Praman. These three are the main three. Shabda Pramana, testimony of a reputable person. I didn't go somewhere. Someone went to Paris and they told me, described to me that they saw the Eiffel Tower. It is so big. There are so many steps if you walk down. From that description, I am able to know something I did not even visit. So I don't need Pratyaksha. I didn't need Anuman. So through Shabda Praman, but in the higher sense, what is Shabda Praman? In the higher sense, Shabda Praman is the Veda. Now, through Veda, I learn about those aspects of knowledge that are not available to the human mind through experience, right? So it will talk about the karma phalam, swarga, devas, and the highest reality which is beyond name and form, Brahman. So this is the knowledge of the Vedic text is something that is beyond the worldly knowledge, and that is attained by those rishis in their meditative states who can reach that state where they can experience those things which are not available to the normal mind. And that is why we give them importance. We call them the knowers of Shabda Pramana. Their testimony, their word is considered believable. Why believable? ऐसे क्यों मान लेंगे? Why believable? Because so many saints have experienced the same thing. So many. And it has been verified. The same Vedic verses heard by different rishis at different times. So therefore we trust them. No, we see, yes, this is how it is. So much this knowledge is commonly verified through their common knowledge. So that is the now we when we do this praman vichara. Third part, rasa vichara. What is the essence? किस लिए कर रहे हैं? Why are we doing something? So that rasa is the rasa vichara or the rasa mimamsa is the third part. That will be in the 24th verse. And then the final part, the fourth part is the achara. What do we do with this knowledge? इसको लेके क्या करेंगे? Are we writing just philosophical books or we just discuss it somewhere in the class? No. We have to bring it into our behavior. So that is achara. So achara mimamsa. Without these four, knowledge is not considered complete. Any subject, not just this spiritual text that we are talking about. Anything, be it science, philosophy, be it study of society, be it study of people, be it study of the ecology, be it the study of the universe, everything. Unless you study these four, it is not going to be useful. You are seeing some star somewhere. What is its utility for you if you don't know that what its knowledge will add to you? But if you decide, yes, I see those two stars, they are rotating around each other. They form a bipolar magnet. From that, I can create that magnet over here. I can use that knowledge and I can create something. Then that knowledge is useful. So in this way, whenever we go into this knowledge, we just have to realize that all the parts of that knowledge, vichara that we have to do, that we have to discover, right? So next we look at the 22nd verse. I'll just share onto the screen where we are within 22nd shlok. So now how we separate the non-eternal from the eternal. So vigrahendriya pranadhitama naham ek sat jadam yasat. Vigrahendriya pranadhitama naham ek sat jadam yasat. So deha, so this vigraha is what? The body. Vigraha means a form, a shape. Like when we say we say about an idol in the temple, the murti, those ko vigraha bolte hain. We call it a vigraha. So that is the form of the Lord. So these bodies are a form. This is how we have identified. So these are all our different identifications. So vigraha is the physical body. What is the next one? The ones that we don't see. Indriya, the sense organs. So the sense organs are the ones that are The next level of our association or our identification. Then next is prana, our prana shakti, the life force within us. Then dhi. Dhi means what? Buddhi. Buddhi, the intellect. And then tamaha. Tamaha means ignorance, darkness, blackness. So that pranadhi tamaha. Na, I am not all of these. I am none of these. Then what I am? Aham ek sat. I am that one sole reality. Why? Because tat jadam, all these that we talked about, all the five, they are jada, and they are asat sarup, they are not sentient, right? So therefore they are asat. So if you remember, for those who have attended also, if you attended Tattva Bodha, what we saw that, how do we separate the knower from the known, or how do we separate this Sat from all of these Prana Buddhi? We say, Na Aham. Whatever is not me. So this body, I am the experiencer, and whatever I experience is not me. So what is the rule, the Vedantic rule for that? I am different from what I experience, right? That was the rule there. So मैं जिसको जान रहा हूँ उससे मैं अलग, right? So that was the rule we saw there. Here is a different rule. So we'll come to that. So what was the rule? That I know this body I can experience. So मैं ये शरीर नहीं हूँ, है ना? मैं इस शरीर को जान रहा हूँ. I am knowing this body. Therefore I am not this body. Same way with the mind, the intellect, then the causal body, everything. I am knowing. I am watching the flow of my thoughts, so I am not my thoughts, and so on. So therefore, I am the inner essence, the reality, the sat, the consciousness. That is my true nature. So when I go deeper into that, then I learned about this nature. So now, what is Maharishi ji using? What technique he is using here? The technique he is using here is that he is saying that all these are jadam, all these are non-sentient. So you will say body is non-sentient. Okay, that much I understand. Sharir to, when the consciousness is gone at the time of death, then the body doesn't move. That means the body is not sentient. But what about prana? And Shakti, I see it moving. Yes, moving, but it is not stable. It is changing. है ना? ऊपर नीचे ऊपर. So it is for permanently changing. So something that is changing, whatever is changing, that has to be mithya, and ultimately it has to be jada. So that is the rule. So whatever we see around us, that is all jadam, because it has no sentiency of its own. Because when the body dies, prana also is not there. It is not experienced. Otherwise, the body will never die if the prana were sentient on its own. And then the same way with the indriya, the sense organs. As the sense organs are also changing, going up and down. So also they are also jadam. So they are all jadam. I am conscious. I am a sentient being. I am a sentient reality. So therefore I am different from all of these. So here we can use that system also, where we say that I am different from what I experience, that whatever I experience is always jadam. I can never experience consciousness. मैं कभी भी चेतनता को भाषित नहीं कर सकता. I can never. I say someone else is moving. I can't see the consciousness within them. It is only later when we do full vichara, then we find that the consciousness is not limited to any being. It is infinite. It is one consciousness going through everyone, just like one space going through all the universe. So even though we imagine that this room space is separate, that room space is separate, the space in my hands is separate, or a pot is separate, but actually it is just one and the same space. So how can something which is the knower of all of this, which is even more subtle, इससे भी सूक्ष्म है इस space से, then how can it have any parts? So that is how we understand that consciousness cannot have any parts. So this consciousness is not jadam. It is because by its nature itself it is the knower. So therefore, and the rest are jadam. So we've seen prana, we have seen dhi, the buddhi also same way, and the final one is tama or ignorance. Our ignorance also changes with time. No? Whenever we know about some object, the ignorance of that object is gone. Same way with the ignorance of the self also. So now we look at it another way. Another way. How can we look at it? Just look at the words and understand. We have the Pancha Kosha, the 5 layers of our personality that are described in the different texts. We saw that in Tattva Bodha also. So in the Pancha Kosha, we saw that first of all what we saw was Annamaya Kosha. So Annamaya Kosha is what? The body here, the body here, the Vigraha. So Vigraha is the Annamaya Kosha. So Annamaya Kosha is obviously Jadam. So therefore it is not Sat. It is not Chet. It is not of the nature of consciousness. So I can effectively remove from my conception. So then next one is after that Pranamaya Kosh. So here Prana. So Prana again, same way Pranamaya Kosh is that layer of my personality which is the life force which exists as long as this body is alive. Before this body, after this body, that Pranamaya Kosh is not there. It has merged back into the mind. So there. Then next one is Manomaya Kosh. So Manomaya Kosh, here the sense organs are given. So sense organs report all of their inputs back to the mind. Back to the mind. So therefore Manomaya Kosh is represented by sense organs here. So therefore the Manomaya Kosh also I am not. Then finally at the fourth stage is Dhi, Buddhi. So that is the Vijnanamaya Kosh. So Vijnanamaya Kosh is what? Not just Buddhi actually. It is just like the Manomaya Kosh is the mind plus the 5 sense organs. Same way the Buddhi with the 5 sense organs represents or consists of the Vijnanamaya Kosh. So therefore all our final decisions are arrived at in the Buddhi. So that is why it is called Nischayatmika Buddhi, the one that decides what finally I have out of the different options that are available or given to me by the mind, right? In that way. So therefore, and then finally Anandamaya Kosha. So Anandamaya Kosha here is represented by Tama. If you remember in Tattva Bodha, there the definition for the in the 3 sharirams, the Sthul, Sukshma and Karan Sharir, the definition for the Karan Sharir that was given there, the Karan Sharir is given as Karan Sharir Kim, so Anirvachya, Anadi, Avidya, Rupam. So it is the causal body is Anirvachya, it is neither real nor unreal. Then Anadi, beginningless, and avidya rupam. That avidya is ignorance. And this is here written as tamas, tamaha. So that causal body is the major component of the Anandamaya Kosha. So Anandamaya Kosha is what? The inner kosha, the inner bliss sheath. So bliss is there. What kind of bliss is there? So if we again go back to the definition there, Anandamaya kaha. So evam eva karan sharir bhutaha, the one that is the giving established in the causal body or in the form of the causal body. And then avidyastaha, it is established in avidya. It is totally immersed in avidya. Then malin sattvam, it has a nature that is impure, malin, and sattvam, malin is its nature. Then priya adi vritti sahitam. So priya, moda, pramod, the vrittis that we saw there. So therefore, if we look at the essence of this, what we are saying, that Karan Sharir is the form of avidya. Why? Because it contains, what does the causal body contain? What does the causal? All our vasanas. Sari vasanaएं वहां रहती है. And because of that only we take different births. अलग अलग जन्म लेते हैं हम. So we move from one body to the other. So causal body is the cause. It's the cause of both the gross body. The causal body is the cause of both the subtle body, so यानी कि सूक्ष्म शरीर, and also the cause of the gross body. Right? Because of the causal body, we get these 2 other sharirams also. So that it is mainly of the nature of tamas, the nature of avidya, the nature of ignorance. So that causal body that we saw in Tattva Bodha also. Here also, it is being mentioned as Jadam. So, that those all of these are Jadam, and this I'll just share it back again. So, all these are Na Aham. All these are not me. And who's me? What is the me? I use the Aham both ways. And Na Aham, you put that with the Vigrah Indriya Prana Dhitama. All these I'm not. She Sharir Adi 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 Adi. मैं नहीं हूं. And then Aham you again apply with the next word. Aham Ek Sat. Then what am I? Aham Ek Sat. I am of the nature of reality. So therefore, the earlier line, all the elements there are Jadam. All of them are non-sentient, right? So because of this non-sentiency, we can safely say that whatever I'm talking about, they are mine. Mere hai, but they are not me. These are my instruments that God has given to me for me to live my life in this world in the best way. So now this is what we call Adhyarop Apavad. So I have superimposed these bodies upon myself, these five sheets, these five koshas upon myself, and now I have to do apavad. I have to remove. If I have to go back to my essence, I have to remove this. So Adhyarop is superimposition. Adhyarop is superimposition because I constantly interact with them, with my three bodies. I am identified to them. And I think of myself as them. I think of myself as the stool sharir whenever I say that I need food, I need nourishment. I think of myself as prana when I say I am thirsty, I am hungry, right? And I think of myself as the mind when I say I am happy, I am sad. I think of myself as the buddhi when I say yes, I have achieved something. And I think of myself as the causal body when I'm in the state of deep sleep, where I'm in the state of happiness, which is not bliss. Happiness, but not bliss. Why happiness? Because no object is limiting me there. But it is not bliss because I am not yet in the state of establishment in the full knowledge. That full knowledge will be in the state of samadhi only, or in the state of true knowledge only. So this way, this shloka is talking about how to separate us, because whenever there is, ignorance, agyan, जहां भी अज्ञान होता है, there, what is the special feature of ajnanam? There will always be opposite kind of feelings, opposite viparit bhavana we call it. There is viparit bhavana. So sometimes I will feel I'm sentient, sometimes I'll feel I'm jada, sometimes I'll feel I'm this body, sometimes I'll feel I'm not. And therefore this oscillation happens. Sometimes I want to work, I want to keep on doing karma, I want to keep on doing action, and other times I want to rest. So this imaginations that I have about me, this is the main ajnanam. Just like the common example given in Vedanta is when I see a snake on a rope. The rope is there, the light is not proper, and in that intermediate, that dim light, it appears to me like a snake. So therefore, if I have to remove these two, I have to remove the adhyaro, this superimposition. If I have to know the satya, I have to shine the torch of light, the torch of knowledge, the light of knowledge onto that. And once the torch shines through, I will see the rope easily. So same way I will see my swarupa also. So that satya is my swarupa, and that I have to separate from prana, dhi, tamaha, etc. given in this verse. So by using the different process of drishya vivek, like we saw, we can remove these limitations that these upadhis are imposing upon us. So this is here. What am I doing here? What am I doing here? I am using, what was the first thing we saw? Tattva vichara, previous verse. This is praman vichara. यहाँ हम प्रमाण को जान रहे हैं. कैसे हम जान रहे हैं? We are learning how we are functioning. What is my nature? What is my, how do I separate myself from whatever I see? So that here is the pramana vichara. We are using pramana. of the Vedic system of examining something through an instrument, through the instruments of knowledge. So here in this verse, we are looking at Praman Vichara. So through this Praman Vichara, what we came to know, the rest of all is Jada, and I alone, the consciousness, is the reality, or I, the Sattva, is the reality. So now we have looked at two parts of my essence. What is the two parts of my essence? One is Sat. One is Sat, the reality. I am. I am. Everything is there because of me. So therefore Sat. And then I know. But Chit. So Sat and Chit now we have revealed. हमने खोल दिया. ये दो मेरे स्वरूप है. So these are not gunas. These are not properties of me. They are my swarupa. They are my inner essence, my nature. So that nature will point towards my own self. It is not something that is going to separate it into parts. So to remove that separateness, we now move into the third part. What did I tell you the third part? Rasa Vichara or Rasa Mimamsa. What is the essence? What is the essence, and how are these two interrelated? That interrelation we'll discover in this next verse. So the 23rd sloka. Sattvabhasika chitva itra sattaya hi chittaya hi ham. Sattvabhasika chitva itra sattaya hi chittaya hi ham. So sattva bhasika. So to illuminate that satsvarup of mine, what do I need? सत को जानने के लिए क्या चाहिए होगा? टू नो समथिंग. व्हाट डू आई नीड कॉन्शियसनेस, चित्त. सो दैट आई नीड चित्त, आई नीड कॉन्शियसनेस, आई नीड चेतनता. So now let us search for that chit. Chit kwa itara. Is it something separate? Is it something different from this sat? No, this is a rhetorical question. So it is not separate. What he means, what Maharishi ji means here, is that the sat and chit are non-separable. We will examine the consequences of separating them. So sattaya hi chet and chittaya hi ham. So therefore this sat itself is non-separable from chit. Sat itself is chit, and that chitta is me. It's not something else, someone else, some other conscious being. No, I am that consciousness. So therefore sat and chit, both I am only. And then sat and chit are non-separable. So therefore I have to learn to understand their oneness. So how do we understand that? What is the shloka saying here? If you remember from Tattva Bodha and earlier text also, how did we establish that Sat and Chit are same? Does anyone remember? Can anyone attempt it? ये सत और चित एक कैसे हो जाते हैं? एक ही कैसे हैं? अलग अलग क्यों नहीं है? Anyone remembers the logic we used there? किसी को याद है? Sat is when we remove name and form from all objects. So therefore, when I remove name and form, Sat is infinite. Right? Now, can anyone now extend the logic? Sat is infinite. So how does that equate Sat and Chit? कोई ट्राई कर सकता है? अब हमें याद है कुछ? How do we establish that both are one? पहले कैसे किए? यहाँ here we'll use a different technique. Anyone else? किसी को याद नहीं है? स्वरूपा, उषिता, अनीता, नितिन. Okay. So if you remember, first we established by removing the Sat. Okay, so for Sat, we saw that we remove the name and form. So when we remove the name and form, what remains is reality extending infinitely in all directions. So infinite reality. So that is Sat. So again we saw Chit, consciousness. What about consciousness? We discovered that consciousness doesn't have a shape. उसका कोई आकार नहीं. We can't enclose it in a box, enclose it in a container. It can go anywhere and everywhere. So it is also infinite. So if both are infinite, can two infinites exist? No. दो अनंत एक साथ नहीं हो सकते. So that means what? Both are one and only. Both are same only. Both are one only. दोनों एक ही है. Right? So that is the technique we used in Tattvabodha. So what technique are we going to use here? What technique are we using and what is Maharishi ji saying here? Sattva Bhasika Chitka Itara. Is consciousness separate from Sat? So let us try. Let us try. Sat and Chit I am separating now. So now if I am separating Sat from Chit, so Chit is consciousness, Sat is existence or the eternal reality or always existing. So if I remove consciousness from Sat, then what will happen to Sat? Sat will become Jad. Chit hata diya na. You have removed Chit. Chit is a separate thing. So if Chit is separate, that means Sat will become Chit ko itara. Maharishi is saying that means Sat will become Jadam. Jadam means it. अगर कोई चीज सत है और एक चीज चित उससे अलग, चित इज सेपरेट फ्रॉम सत, दैट मीन्स दिस इज नॉट चित, दिस इज नॉट कॉन्शियस, दिस इज जड़. And anything that is jada will be mithya, it will be limited, it will be without any reality. है ना? तो वो सत का मीनिंग ही चेंज हो गया. Right? So once I remove sat from chit and I keep it separately, that means that sat is becoming jada. And what about consciousness? Now I'm keeping consciousness separate, sat separate. What will happen with the consciousness? Chit ko kya ho jayega? If I'm removing existence from consciousness, consciousness will become non-existent. जब मैंने सत्ता को हटा दिया, when I removed existence, then consciousness will become non-existent. जब consciousness से मैंने है को हटा दिया, तो consciousness रह ही गई नहीं. It will not remain. है को हटा दिया ना. So that means in both cases if I separate, this will become sat will become limited again and jadam, and in this case consciousness will become non-existent. That means they cannot be separate. That means they are forever together in every plane of experience. सदा के सदा वो दोनों एक साथ ही, हम उनको अलग कर ही नहीं सकते. That is the real reasoning that is becoming being given here by Maharishi here. So we can use the drashta logic also here, but if we are using this logic that earlier, like we saw, we used the attributes of both being infinite. दोनों अनंत है, तो दो अनंत एक दूसरे को काटेंगे, एक दूसरे को लिमिट करेंगे. Two infinites will limit each other, therefore they have to be one. Same thing, we use the other logic here, so they will be used as the Sat Swarupa will become non-existent, and the Chit will become Jada. So both will, Sat will become Jada, Chit will become non-existent. So this is how we have to understand their reality. So whatever objects we see in the world, Jagat, all of the names and forms that we see, we can cognize their existence. उनके अस्तित्व को हम जान पाते. We are able to know their existence. So therefore every object has a existence. So this existence is known through what? Through the consciousness. So therefore both of them are intricately intertwined. एक दूसरे से गुथे हुए हैं. एक ही जैसे you make those ponytail na, and you wrap the strands around each other, then it looks like one. एक ही जैसी लगती है. Same way both of them are intertwined with each other. So therefore whenever there is any expression, whenever there is any power, whenever there is any coming to the fore, that power is useless without any consciousness to know. अगर कॉन्शियसनेस ही नहीं होगी तो कौन इसके बारे में होगा बात करने. कितने भी जगत क्रिएट हो जाए, it doesn't make a difference. So therefore consciousness is being created by the Lord for the experience of the conscious sentient beings. So therefore I am the illuminator of every object in the universe. Therefore, all the objects are one with me only. कुछ भी मेरे से भिन्न नहीं है. So I can see that in relation to the objects of the world also, the Jagat also, and I can also see that in the sense of the my inner essence. My inner essence. Whenever I look at myself, never ever at every moment of time, at any moment of time, I am or I exist or I know, both of these don't go away. कभी भी नहीं जाता. It is always there, right? So therefore, what is the illuminator of our existence? It is the consciousness itself. So therefore, both are intricately intertwined, and I cannot in any case separate them, right? I cannot separate objects into desh, kal, vastu, where it is existing, unless I know there is no point of any object's existence in space. Unless I know there is no point of any object's existence in time. पहले था बाद में था कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. So the knower is the substratum, the basis, the adhar on which all of these are moving. So on my consciousness, the whole world is projected. उसी के ऊपर दिख रहा है. So therefore, the sattva and the chitva are not separate. The chitva itara, it cannot be separate. So therefore, if this sat means something that is ever existent, sat का मतलब क्या है? सत मीन्स बेसिकली जो हमेशा तीनों त्रिकाल भातु तीनों कालों में रहता है. सो इफ समथिंग इज देयर इन ऑल थ्री अनचेंजिंग इन टाइम एंड मतलब त्रिकाल से अबाधित है, काल में नहीं है, इट इज आउटसाइड टाइम. So therefore, if something is outside time, then the knower of that satta also will also be outside time. And what about me? I am that only, na? So satya hi chit chitya hi ham. I am that. Who is knowing? I. It's not someone. I'm not talking about someone else. So therefore, this sat and chit that I'm talking about, they are my nature. They are not something external to me. They are not something extrinsic to me, right? So how do we assign a value to something? किसी चीज का मूल्य क्या होता है? If we assign a value to something, then there are two kinds of value. One is the intrinsic value. उसका अपना ही मूल्य. Or other is the extrinsic value, the value relation to something else. Let us understand with an example. Like gold. I have gold. Gold की value है, अपने में ही है. Its value is intrinsic. Its value is of its own essence. उसके अपने ही सत्ता का मूल्य है. Gold is the value of gold is from its own essence. What about money? Notes. Its value is not intrinsic, extrinsic. सरकार ने वो दी है value. It is the government that has given that value. So as long as the government is there, value is there. As long as when the government is not there, its value is not there. So its value is dependent. But in Sat and Chit, what is happening? Both are having intrinsic value. तो उनकी अपने में उनके बिना कुछ है ही नहीं. The Jagat is intrinsic value. The universe has extrinsic value. But Sat and Chit are having intrinsic value. तो उन्हीं का ही मूल्य है जीवन. They are the ones that are only important. Others are not important. Others are important only in retrospect, in relations, in what we talked about, the extrinsic value. So therefore, my essence, when I discover, all the other things become secondary. All of them becomes, we call gona. Let's use another word. They are secondary or less importance, right? So when I'm focused, as Maharishi says, he's very, very direct, very, very strong words he will use. He will completely remove any kind of illusion quickly without even resorting to the logical steps that most other gurus and others take. So he's very, very direct. So therefore, I am Chit Swarupa and I am Sat Swarupa. Both of that he is established with this line. So now we have some time, so we can go to the next verse. So we are into the 24th verse now. So now this Sat and Chit I have understood. Now how do I use this to discover, to establish the nature of myself and this whole universe that is controlled by that big Lord, that Ishvara, that Bhagwan. So now, Isha Jivayo Veshadi Vidha Sat Swabhavato Vastu Kevalam ईश जीवयो वेशधि विदा सत्स्वभावतो वस्तु केवलम. So Isha and Jivayo. So Ishvara and Jiva, the two opposite poles of that sentient existence. What is the difference between them? Veshadhi. He simply says सिर्फ रूप ऊपर के कपड़े का फर्क है. So between Ishvara and Jiva, the only difference is in the cloth that they are both wearing. What is my cloth? My body. Chota sa. The small cloth, the small body. And what is the Vesh of Ishvara? The Vesh of Ishvara is the whole universe. So his body is the whole universe. The Vishwarupa, the Vishal, Virat Rupa that we call, or Purusha Rupa. So that is the Veshadhi Vida. So when we saw Purush Sukta also, there we saw the Swarupa of the Lord. There we saw that when we are talking about Ishvara, Sahasra Shisha, Sahasra Aksha, Sahasra Patsa, Bhumi, Vishvato Vritva. So there when we reach that part of what is the nature of that Tripad Urdhva Uday Purushaha Pado Asya Iha Abhavat Punaha. So that Lord, that infinite Lord, his small essence is this whole world. This whole world is a very small part. It is 1/4 of his reality. 1/4 of his reality. And Pado Asya Iha, that one Pada that is here. Asya Iha in this manifest universe. And here he keeps on coming and going. Even Ishvara is getting born and again when the worlds are merging and being reborn. So therefore, but what about the other part, other three parts, the 3/4? Tripad Urdhva. Tripad Urdhva Uday Purusha. That's the highest reality in its essence beyond the manifest reality. So that is the Satchitanand Swarupa. So therefore, Ishvara is in charge of the whole universe. So I am conditioned by what? I am conditioned by my Vesha. What is my Vesha? My body. My 3 bodies. Sthul Sharir, Sukshma Sharir, Karan Sharir. That is my Vesha. And what about Ishvara? His Vesha is the whole body, the whole universe. The whole universe is his body. And now when I look at the essence of them, here we are talking about Rasa. The Rasa Mimamsa. So what is the Rasa? Sat Swabhavata. So in this Ishvara that I've been worshipping all my life, whom I've been looking up to, because initially we need him. But once we reach this highest knowledge, then I am not separate from Ishvara. Then Ishvara is not a facilitator of my liberation. My knowledge is the facilitator of my liberation. So Sat Swabhavato Vastu Kevalam. So when I look at this Sat Swabhav, the reality of my own essence, that is the only reality. Vastu Kevalam, only that is there. That's Sat Swarupa. So once I remove, once I see that both of these are just conditionings, right? So Ishvara has one conditioning. The conditioning of Ishvara is called Maya, right? And Jiva is also conditioning. The conditioning of Jiva is this Sharir, Sthul Sharir, Sukshma Sharir, Karan Sharir. So these are both Vesha. These are all vests. They are kapda. They are cloths that they are both wearing. Like even in the Gita also, Bhagwan Krishna compares the body and body etc. to a cloth that I wear. It's very famous one, where it's said that the soul is eternal, but it keeps on changing different clothes. These come and go. So Vasansi Jirnani Yatha, second chapter, 22nd verse. So that is 2 verses after the very famous verse about Najayate Vriyate Va Kadachit. The soul is never born, It never dies. Nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuya. Ajo nitya shashvatoyam purana na hanyate anyamane sharire. This soul does not die with the death of the body. So what is the body? Vasansi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grinnati naroparani तथा शरीराणि विहाय जीर्णानि अन्यानि संयाति नवानि देहि. So just like a man discards his clothes, vasansi jeernani, the clothes that are jeerna, fading, rotting away. When a person discards them, navani grinnati naroprani, and he takes on new clothes. Same way. Tatha sharirani vihaya jirani. When this body also becomes old, dilapidated, useless, without any functionless, this body also this discard the atma, the soul discards this, and it takes up a new body. Anyani sanyati navani dehi. It takes on a new body in its for its next life. So this cycle of birth and death goes in. So what is Maharishi ji doing here? He is telling us that I don't need to take different births to realize that I am the soul and the soul is discarding this body. In this birth itself, right now, here and now, I can do this process. This process, Vesha. Vesha, I have to remove the Veshas. I have to remove the different forms that are covering that are cloaking my reality. So what are these? Veshadhi, the Veshadhi Vida, the different forms that are cloaking my identity, that are hiding my Atma from me, those I have to remove from this my wrong conception, so that I can enter into Sat Swabhavatu. I can enter into my Sat Swarupa, my real form, which is Vastu Kevalam, which is the only reality. There is no duality. कुछ और है ही नहीं. So therefore, Vastu Kevalam. So in the case of the soul, the others are just projections upon itself. They are just imaginations. They are just, you can say, creation by Maya. And there are two levels for that. Two levels, Isha Jiva Yoho. This is the Samas where we are talking about the dual case. So Isha and Jiva. So Ishvara and Jiva. These are the two poles of this existence, of this Atma. One is the small one, but other is the big one. So how can they be one? How can they be one? This Lord is so big, he is Sarvagya, Sarva Shaktiman. And I, this poor, small Jiva, what about me? I am Alpagya, I am Alpa Shaktiman. Every way I am limited. So therefore, how can both of these be same? This we will discover in the next class. Okay. Hari Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om Tat Sat.